Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and I hope you're doing super fantastic as always. And I was recently listening to a podcast in which the host was referring to all of us, saying that we are God. And I'm like, listen, I understand what was meant by that. I also know that a lot of people are they don't like that. They feel like it's kind of controversial for sure, but maybe even a bit blasphemous. And I'm like, well, if we keep things like that in perspective, it's like we are expressions or aspects of the source consciousness. Yes. So if we call it source consciousness, if we call it universal mind, universal consciousness, or God, all of those apply to the same mind. And we are expressions of that mind. So when we look at it that way, well, we are God, but it's just when we say it that way, some people get a little, I don't know, they don't like it. They feel like it's being a little, I guess, blasphemous, I suppose. But we are all aspects or expressions of the source consciousness, and it is exploring itself, exploring its own mind, its own creation. Because as I've said, when the source had its aha moment, its own awakening, when it realized I exist, I am the eternal I am, the eternal I am moment. When that happened, it began creating in its own mind. And that is what the Gnostics would refer to as the fullness. The fullness is the totality of creation, which would be the source consciousness's mind. And then it goes into many, many layers and sub-layers and little pods, little pods and stuff here and there everywhere. By the way, dear loved one, if you haven't hit the like button yet, please do go ahead and do that for me. I would really appreciate that. It helps to get the word out, I suppose. And if you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do that too. I would really appreciate it very much. But we can look at it like in different layers, and I'm going to keep this very simple because I understand that it's much deeper than this, okay? But we do have the source consciousness, the I am. And then we have our higher self. So that would be like a layer down. That would be the source splintering itself out into all these different aspects, and that those will be different versions of self, right? And then that higher self, which would be, in your case, dear loved one, would be your higher self, is then jacked into this physical version of you, this physical avatar. That would be so that you can be in this experience right here, right now, in this particular sim. And as I've said, I believe that there are, I mean, who could know? I mean, some people say an infinite number of sims, how they could all be just nested, right? But it can't really be an infinite number because it ultimately goes back to the one. It ultimately goes back to the I am. So it can't really be an infinite number going in each direction because it would go back to that. Now, I do know, dear loved one, there are those who will say, well, yeah, but that I am came from its own I am, right? That our I am, our source consciousness, has its own source consciousness where it came from, what it was a splinter of. And I mean, I know that a lot of really orthodox type religious types will probably gasp and run for their lives if they were to hear us talk about that. But and that's very possible. Kind of like in the egg, who was it? The one guy that wrote the egg. You can look it up on Google. It's about a 5-minute read, but in it, that's what it's a conversation between a person and God, and that's what God told the person is, I came from somewhere, and I'm basically training you to be me. So and it is a fascinating read. But yes, I understand it goes much deeper than that. It's much deeper than just, okay, we've got source consciousness, then we've got the higher, so we got, which splintered into self, so then we have the higher self, and then the physical version of self, which is you right now. But I understand it goes a lot deeper than that. But this experience that we're currently in, this particular experience where we do come into this with what they call the veil of forgetfulness, or the veil of forgetting, so that we do not come into this knowing our true nature, knowing how powerful of a immortal co-creator that we really are. So we come into this not knowing any of that. But we also do have the ability to manipulate quantum energy, to manipulate the quantum field, and to connect to our higher source and our higher self, to connect to that for guidance, to connect to that for guidance and for wisdom and direction and just whatever. But we have the ability to manipulate the quantum field, basically to manifest physical things from nothing, to what appears to be nothing. It's not nothing, but still, it appears to be nothing. So when we came into this, we realized we do have that ability. None of that's by accident. That's all here for the purpose for us to discover it and then learn to use it. And I got to believe ultimately master it. So that way, when we do finally master it and we do finally get our opportunity to jack back out of here, we will have gone out of here with the experience of going from zero to co-creator. And where do we go from there? We'll find out, won't we? But I do believe that we come into here with various goals in mind. Now, the collective, I got to believe we have come into this the human collective, all of us have come in here to learn to be the architect, to learn to be an architect of reality. That's because all of us are able to manipulate that quantum field, as I said. If that were not the case, then that wouldn't be there for all of us. Now, there are other reasons why you may have come here individually. Your higher self may be like, yeah, while I'm in there learning to be the architect, and I'll say what I mean by the architect in a minute, but your higher self may be like, while I'm doing that, I also want to accomplish this goal and that goal, because I'm going to be in an environment where there is polarity, where there is mortality, and there is all of these things that I cannot experience outside of that physical realm. So while I'm in there, I want to pick up these other little skills here and there, along with learning to be the architect. But when I say be the architect, it's because we do have we are learning to be the co-creator with the big cheese, the main dude, the head honcho creator. But in being the architect, we design. We don't physically have to manipulate. We don't physically have to do anything to manifest our reality. All we really have to do is design it and understand and know that the builder is going to make it happen. So by you learning that I am able to do this and I am the architect, I'm going to design this reality for this particular go round, and I'm going to allow the big cheese to take it from there. And I don't have to be the builder. I just design it and put it out into the field and know that it's going to be built. But anyway, know your role, that kind of thing. Your role is not to build it. Your role is to design it and know that it is done. You put it out into the field, and by doing that, you are manipulating the quantum field, quantum energy, however you want to look at it. But did we, coming into this particular realm, did we program negativity into it? See, lately I've been talking a lot about the Archons and Loosh energy and how this does seem to be a Loosh farm and how we are kept in these low vibrational states. It seems as if we are kept in the asleep state so that we never awaken our true nature and never learn to be the co-creator, never do any of these things. We just stay here and be good little worker bees and just produce, consume, and obey, right? Produce, consume, obey, and just like in the They Live movie, right? So, but did we program negativity into the sim? I don't think we necessarily programmed negativity in. However, we did come to experience polarity. So if you want to look at it as negativity, okay, because polarity, if we've got good, we have to have bad. If we've got up, we have to have down. Hot, cold, up, down, left, right, all that. That is polarity. But the further out you zoom from it, when you zoom way out and you look at it from afar, it's just one thing. It's not really good and bad. It just is. It starts to blur together the further out you get from this. But since we're immersed in it, from our perspective right now, we are immersed fully in it. So we fully see the polarity. We fully see the very ugly and the very beautiful. We fully see all this negativity. And then also we understand that because there is negativity, there must be positivity. But from the outside perspective, from the 30,000 foot view looking in, it's just a blur. So we didn't necessarily program in negativity, but we did come into this, I believe, to experience polarity. However, when I do mention the Archons, and I'm even starting to get into Wetiko, which David Icke talks a lot about, and Wetiko is the mind virus that kind of sickens and twists people. I mean, there's very varying degree of it, just like any other thing with polarity. It is a sliding scale. It could be to a certain degree, and then it can be to very much extremes. But we're going to get into that in the very near future, the whole concept of Wetiko. It's actually a Native American, if you're not familiar with it, it's a Native American concept. However, all cultures around the world have had some variation of it. But now the word Wetiko itself comes from Native Americans. But it is the mind virus that takes over the mind and causes it to, in most cases, be very negative. It causes it to go into those dark places. And I got to believe that is part of, like, for example, the very negative things that we've uncovered, that we have shown our light on in recent months here in this realm. I got to believe that is what causes people to be that way, to be able to be, because we've asked a question collectively, the human collective. We've asked a question: how can this be? How can other human beings be like this? And then, of course, there are some that are saying, because those aren't humans. I mean, maybe. That does seem like that could possibly be the case, but it also could be Wetiko, and how their minds really just get completely infested and twisted with this. But we're going to get into that a lot more in the very near future. But have these viruses, these Archons and or Wetiko, were they programmed in to make this more polarizing, or is it more of have they just found their way in somehow? Are they a virus that really infected this sim, just like in a regular computer? It's a virus that gets in, and the computer can still run, but there is that virus. That's something that we may not ever figure out, but we can speculate on it. But it would matter if we could know, because if we could know that, hey, we did program that in, or if we could know, no, we absolutely did not program that in, but somehow it got in, and now we're having to deal with it. Anywho, so there's that. But anyway, dear loved ones, yes, this experience that we're in, we have come in here to experience polarity. Like Darius J. Wright says, we came here to experience that which we are not. And I think that's pretty good. Whatever your feelings are about Darius J. Wright, at least that saying is pretty good, really. We are here to experience that which we are not. On the outside, we are immortal, and we co-create, and they say we can manifest just at the snap of a finger. Here, not so much. So, we can, but we do have that aspect of time. When we do manifest something, it is manifested in the field, but our physical, very slow vibration takes time to catch up to it. And as I've said before, don't de-manifest something before you get to it, because it is there. You just haven't caught up with it yet. That's all. So anyway, dear loved one, if you haven't hit the like button yet, please go ahead and do that for me. I would appreciate it. Also, if you have not subscribed, please do that. And if you know somebody that you think would be interested in hearing this, please share this video. I would really appreciate it. And also, let me know what you think in the comments. Much appreciated. Besides that, that's what I got for you. I love you. I do. And I'll be back directly.